Hello, welcome back to another episode of MATJIUA, where I bring you all stories beautifully Namibian. Previously, I spoke about taking stock of the people in your circle and your response was great. I can only beg that you please share your comments below the video so that we can actually get into conversations where encourage and motivate one another. I love your comments and please, I urge you to please keep them coming. Today, I might ruffle some feathers, so please be warned. Namibia is such a beautiful country in terms of contrasting landscapes, its people, and so goes for the languages that are spoken in the country, which I believe should be more than 11. So, having said that, have you ever met a German who cannot speak German? Or have you ever met an Englishman who cannot speak English? Well, obviously, there's always the exception to the rule. You do find them. But the majority of them, I believe these are people who actually embrace and have managed to preserve their languages. However, there is a negative trend that I find amongst my people, myself, my friends, families and acquaintances, irrespective of what languages they speak, because the trend that's happening right now is that we are sort of putting our own languages in the back seat in preference of English, which is something that I believe is highly detrimental and very dangerous to the preservation of our own languages. So, why do I say this? It has become very classic. It has become very common to find somebody, my own people, saying that, no, I only speak English, or my kids can't speak my own language because they speak English with their friends at school and everything else is in English, the TV, whatever else communication that they get through to them is in English, hence the difficulty to speak their own languages. I find this to be something that will cost us in the future if we are not too careful. Everything is in English these days. Yes, that is correct. The schools our kids attend, the medium of education is mostly English. If it is not a German private school or if it is not an Afrikaans private school. The bedtime stories that we read out to our children, they are in English, unfortunately. So yes, there's a reason why our children are no longer speaking our languages. But my question is, are we doing enough to preserve our languages? Or do we simply just not care enough to preserve them? What are we leaving behind for our children? Is it okay if our languages die out in future because English or Chinese or whatever, these are the languages that are leading and they should be the ones that should be upheld and pushed forward? What are we doing to change this? This is a question that we have to ask ourselves. Why is it easier to adapt and accept English for ourselves and our children? Why isn't YouTube being flooded with cartoons with African languages? You find a lot of cartoons in either Russian, you find them in German, you find them in Spanish, you find them in French, you find them in every other language, but very few or limited if there are any African languages. So if there are websites, if you know any of this, please do share this with us, because I am of the opinion that our languages are dying out and we probably simply don't care enough to push or preserve our languages. A classic example, as soon as our kids start kindergarten, one of the first songs that they learn is "The London Bridge is Falling Down." These are children who have never been to England, they have never seen London Bridge, and yet they're being taught the same song as a child who is in the UK. And then one day you happen to meet an Englishman and you ask them, or you tell them, no, I am from Namibia. And when they tell you that they don't know where Namibia is, it's like we are the first to be shocked at the nerve or the level of ignorance of these people. When in actual fact that we forget that, no, the Englishman knows everything about English and knows nothing about Namibia. But the Namibian child knows everything about the UK or everything English and nothing about where they are. Or if they do, it's so limited. So, you know, where is the imbalance here? Who is teaching us that we shouldn't teach ourselves our languages? I can tell you that so many of us know about the London Bridge, but very little children of ours knows that Namibia is actually the country where the desert meets the ocean. What level of respect do we expect from others if we cannot even communicate with one another in our own languages? We prefer to communicate in English. What level of respect can we expect from others when we cannot set up schools that have our languages as the formal or the main medium of instruction? But we are the ones to take our children to, say, a German or Afrikaans school and then claim discrimination when the teachers do not pronounce our children's names correctly. I cannot help but admire the pride of the Afrikaners or the Germans when their children are born. As soon as they start to speak, they speak their mother tongue, and that actually extends throughout their adult life, their adulthood. You find, of course, as I mentioned earlier, that there are exceptions to the rule. There are few that are, I guess, starting to speak more and more of English, but the pride that they have carried on speaking their language and establishing institutions that push for their languages further, it's amazing, and it's something that I believe that we should try and emulate. I mean, the love of the Afrikaners for the braai and alles Afrikaans, but it's just something that I dream to see as a Hero speaking person. I want to be able to see an Oshivambo school opening or a Tswana school, and Botswana is one country that is really doing well, and I applaud them for that. So in a nutshell, I'm just asking for us to create platforms that push for our languages, push for them to be preserved. Let us create our own. This is not one to be given to us, this is one for us to create. So you might agree with me, you might not agree with me, but I am just so excited and I just can't wait to hear what you think about this. What are you doing to ensure that 100 years from now somebody can still understand your language? Please share your thoughts and comments on the video, share the video, like my page, subscribe to the YouTube page, and let's get talking. Ngatuko shikandushari or MATJIUA ngatuhaganithiwe rukwao mushikandushari. This is MATJIUA, bringing you all stories beautifully Namibian.